Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be doing a reaction and review of the second Voidz album. You guys wanted to see it, so here it is. Of course, it was the plan for quite some time now. About 2 weeks ago we checked out Qyurryus and I loved that record. There were a couple things here and there that I didn't completely love, but for the most part, that is a super solid record. I do believe I gave it an 8, and I've returned to Human Sadness on a really regular basis. But yeah, I'm hoping that there's stuff that was as good as Human Sadness on this record. I'm really excited to get into it, because some of those best songs on that last record are just now some of my favorite songs, to be honest with you. Leave It In My Dreams is the name of track number 1, so let's see what we're getting into here. Oh, that's so nice. It's like the tuning and the melody just instantly hits you. Such a special way. We're doing some like Is This It type vocals on here, I see. Really all of it sounds kind of Is This It so far. This chorus is bringing me back to that first reaction, guys. I'm really feeling this. Really feeling this one, yeah. Something sounds a little off about the like tuning and everything on the solo. Proving my point, there's that riff. So this track really brought together, I guess, what I would call like a euphoric melancholy type sound. That is really kind of the way that I would describe Is This It as well. I was making those comparisons right away in the beginning there, and even lyrically through and through that was very similar to that first Strokes record. Like there was more than definitely some influence being taken there. That track just had this, it's a really good vibe that Julian pulls off really well on most of his work. I don't know, I really appreciated that song for what it was, but it wasn't anything like super strange or abnormal. It was nothing that I wasn't expecting, I'll put it that way. But still, like, I'm totally okay with it. This isn't exactly as different from the Strokes as I was expecting to get into, because Virtue, pretty much through and through, didn't have many sounds in common with the Strokes, whereas this definitely did. Definitely shared a lot of that appeal, and, you know, I mean, I don't know, maybe Julian's just kind of throwing him a bone, peasing the fans, because this was during a long stretch without Strokes music. Qyurryus, I believe. Oh, Qyurryus. See what you did there? It's like Oblivious off of the EP. Oh god, I hope it doesn't sound like Oblivious. Oh no. Now I'm dreading it. But, it probably won't. Let's be real here. Let's go. Let's go. Qyurryus. Okay. It's very interesting. Oh, nice. That is such a solid groove to it. What? What is going on? This sounds awesome, but like, what the fuck? Where did this come from? The vocal inflection and presentation of this chorus is just wild. This is legitimately like nothing I've ever heard before. I've never heard this much auto-tune on Julian's voice before. This is so weird. What is going on? What do I even say about that? Okay, very interesting genre fusion here. On our little bio here, they're saying that it was described by the Voidz as a cyber Arabic prison jazz song. That's pretty much the best way you could describe this. I definitely did pick up on that like Arabic style on the chorus with the vocals. Gave you that kind of like Egyptian feeling, I want to say. I gotta say I'm a little bit out of touch there, so like it's kind of hard for me to describe exactly what I noticed about those vocals being that kind of Arabic style. But yeah, the electronic influence, the cyber part of that equation, I suppose, was very interesting. Hearing this basically be a, you know, I don't know, electronic sound that they were going for the most part on here. Very strange track. Like that, wow. That really lived up to the name too. Like damn, misspelling Qyurryus has gotta be like the best way to describe exactly what happened there. I mean, I like it. I am completely down for this level of odd experimentation. If you keep catching me off guard like that, I mean, hey, I'm gonna have a much easier time staying interested for an hour here. The name of the next track is Pyramid of Bones, which that name is fucking metal, by the way, dude. Like, damn, okay, let's go. Oh, hell yeah, dude. Let's go. There's some riffs right here. Yes. Got a little bit of a switch up. All right, it's building up. I see what you're doing. These riffs, dude. Oh, they're so gritty. This is just fucking beautiful. Wow, this instrumental section is so cacophonous, too. Wow. God, that riff is just badass. I keep going off about it, but like, what am I supposed to do, dude? I'm not sure I dig Julian's vocals on here, but you know, they're still pretty nice. Like, man can still sing, don't get me wrong here. The percussion on this section, too, just damn. That fucking explodes. All of the solos here are just like, not quite right, and I know it's intentional. But there's something about this that sounds like just ever so slightly off. Holy shit! That was fucking wild. Damn. Okay. That's clearly just a rager of a track. I want to say there was like groove metal influence on that track, like pretty heavily. Look, it might be just because I listened to the entirety of Vulgar Display of Power this morning, but I was getting Pantera feelings from that song. So there's that, I suppose. Like, there's gotta be some level of influence in there, I guess. Riffs, sick. Percussion was crushing. Vocals were wacky. And lyrics were political. Yeah, that sounds like the Voidz. Yeah, yep, just a bit. I mean, I use political in a very vague sense because if I'm interpreting things correctly there, especially with the whole White Devil thing and everything, what this appeared to be is like a song about, historically speaking, how many times it has happened where very advanced civilizations of Caucasian white people, whether that be British or, you know, otherwise, I mean, just think about colonizing America, come to a different area where the race is not like they were, and just kind of take everything over. That's what I'm getting from that. Now, could I be wrong? Yes. I'd have to do a little bit more digging, a little bit reading up on that whole thing. I mean, this could be very well based on a specific incident as well. There was a very specific language quoted right away in the beginning of the song, but I do think this is more of a generalization with the white man taking over with the white man kind of taking over the country or civilization of a person of color in many situations. I mean, it's not just one instance that this has happened. So it's a pretty like socially aware message. And I always think that when the Voidz do something like this and do a more politically charged track that has a bit more of a message and takes a stance on like a issue like this, I like that it's very nuanced, and I like that some of the detail is left up to the imagination, and all of the messaging isn't so blatantly activist that it feels corny or otherwise. Permanent High School is the name of the next song. Very catchy chorus, kind of bringing back that melancholic euphoria that I talked about before. Those reverby chords there. This is just drenched in atmosphere, really. So I want to bring this up real quick. I think that the concept of this song is actually quite clever, and I really appreciate what's going on here with it, at least as far as what I can interpret from it. I think this song is about carrying the high school mentality with you outside of high school. Now, this is something that I've personally experienced being straight out of high school, and I kind of relate to it in a strangely specific sort of way just because of that. And I realized that I might have this viewpoint on what these lyrics are about just because this is something that I can personally relate to. But what this feels like to me is the song is about people who never get out of that high school drama kind of mindset where, he's talking about cheating on a test here. He's talking about something popular being good, or really that sounds like something a parent would say to a high schooler. Just because it's popular doesn't mean it's good. That kind of thing. People following trends. People being snakes, starting drama just for fun. Okay? It kind of feels like it's, grown-ass people who are taking that high school mentality along with them. And like I said, I vaguely have experienced this, and that's why maybe I'm picking up on this like I am. That section had a lot in it as well. Just the second chorus, still talking about some very specific things. You know that this narrator is not in high school anymore, very obviously. A fight for ungrateful grandchildren, in the future there's no son. Okay, so they're very far along in their life, yet they still kind of have this depressed, stressed out state that they did in high school. And yeah, that's a lot of kind of what I was talking about with that. Well, this hits a different way. Apologizing to your parent is another thing that really relates to this mindset. And him apologizing to his dad, that's very specifically driven towards, wow. Okay, so maybe this is Julian experiencing this mindset of still feeling like he's in high school, still feeling like he has to be afraid of what his parents think and that sort of thing. He's apologizing to his dad here. Like, this is actually a really cool concept. Nice. Alright, yeah. I don't know what there is to say about that song that I didn't already say. Sonically, it wasn't one of the more unique ones. That reminded me a lot more of some of the later Strokes stuff that we saw. I'm talking more come down machine, angles, that kind of area. It sounded like that version of the Strokes. This wasn't one of the more particularly strange sounding songs. I feel like they kind of go for one side or the other, either do some very dense lyrical stuff like that, or do a very strange sound behind it. However, track number 3 was pretty unconventional, but it still had some really solid lyrics. I'm not saying that the lyrics were bad on any of the Stranger Voidz songs, really. I'm just saying that usually it's kind of one or the other. Yeah, that track had a pretty solid instrumental, pretty well thought out execution. Really like the lyrical content though, I'll bring that up again. Alienation is the name of the next track, and I am going to go out on a limb here and say that this is definitely going to be a much more politically driven track. Okay, maybe we got a more electronically based sound this time around. Okay, yeah, we're literally 2 lyrics in, and it's very obvious to see where this is going. Okay, yo no say Spanish for I don't know. They say murder in the name of national security. Yeah, so this is obviously about the immigration policies, and this was extremely relevant in 2018. It's still very relevant to this day but I kind of keep forgetting that this is so recent, but the border wall in between here in Mexico would have been a very topical thing to be writing about at the time, and this appears to be kind of revolving around that sentiment and just general immigration policies for those seeking safety in America. And the way they talk about American politics in such a really genuine way is always really nice to see on these tracks. I'm not sure what I'm thinking of the sound of this one so far, though. Officer security being the changed word here could be a completely different take on racism as a whole. You know, we're obviously covering a myriad of topics based around alienation, fact of people looking different and therefore being treated different. Another callback to the track Oblivious right there. Speaking of obliviousness. And, okay, so, as much as I didn't like Oblivious, alright, this is kind of smart calling back to it, because if I remember right, that song had a repeated lyric of you had to choose a side, like you must choose a side, or something along that lines, about picking a side. And the fact of the matter here is that this is kind of a callback to that in a really smart way, just because picking a side of are you going to back these alienated people, or are you going to go with the unfortunate majority and proceed to alienate them further. So if that is a callback that's very smart, let's proceed. I think that the lyric that was brought up there, not angels, not fiends, just human beings, that is really smart, and I like that lyric quite a bit. That's some really solid writing right there. Fantastic track lyrically, did the job that it was going for in explanation, and like I said, I really enjoy the Voidz lyricism, because when they go for a more politically centric track, it's not extremely blatant and on the nose, and that's the big problem with a lot of what I would call protest songs, especially in a genre like this, where rock music, a lot of rock fans especially, just want things to be so instantaneous, and the Voidz make you a little bit more patient, and it pays off because this feels so much more solid than it could have. Sonically, that wasn't one of the more interesting cuts. It did have this really solid bass line all the way through that one. I like that a lot, and there's nothing to complain about with the sound either. That's not what I mean to say about that. Yeah, decent. I can't complain. Solid. One of the Ones is the name of the next song. Oh, you do not play around. Let's go. I just always know when that tuning is there, dude. Like, yes. That sounds so cool. Damn. The vocal presentation here is just so unhinged, and the sound of the song itself really isn't all that weird, but like there's certain abnormal melodies that just kind of pop in here and there that just kind of have this like anxiety effect to them, and the vocals just sound unhinged here, which is really cool. Everything about this instrumentation just sounds fucking flawless. Okay, so doing a little bit of lyrical unpacking there. That song may be about drug use, and kind of the tip-off to that notion that I have come to is the lines, I'm not gonna quit, which is, you know, obviously a sort of commonly used phrase when talking about drugs is, you know, I'm gonna quit. He starts off by saying the why and by, so maybe the person that is narrating this track is trying to figure out why they are even going to quit. Maybe they think that it's pointless and they're gonna come back to it anyways, or they can't figure out a good reason for this. And then being the I and high at the end of the song, he's just coming back to this drug again. And this would kind of explain the unhinged, sort of anxiety-ridden mood and feeling behind this track, I guess. Also, just want to note this real quick. What the fuck is the topic hopping on this album. Like, there is so much that's been addressed, and we're halfway in. There is no connection, no correlation from track to track whatsoever from everything I can tell. You know, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing inherently terrible about that. You can have a album that's a collection of songs more than it is one solid piece. It's just that, wow, it's a little jarring to go from piece to piece like we're going here. Like, I mean, you know, we could cool it down a little bit. From literally going from like racial tensions to drug use that quickly. Why am I talking about albums that jump from topic to topic so much lately? I feel like that has been the common thread between this entire last week. The next song up is All Words Are Made Up, spelled with a Z, because Voidz and Wordz, I guess. Which that is an interesting sentiment for a title. Cool enough. Let's go. Alright, this is a lot more upbeat. Could be deceptively upbeat, but still. Where are the vocals in this mix? I kind of like the melodies here, but like, it's also subdued. Just kind of got this clangy percussion and the bass line to latch onto. I mean, it is more upbeat, but yeah, there's not a lot to latch onto in this instrumental, unfortunately. Like, I can almost vibe with it. Almost. There's just something so off, especially about these vocals. Okay, so that song, like I said, there's not a lot to latch onto instrumentally. Lyrically, it was a little bit vague as well. That's just not really one of my favorite tracks so far. It was almost just kind of a vibe, but like I said, there's just not that much super interesting about it. But maybe that will play out differently later. We'll have to see where this goes in part 2. We're gonna listen to just these first 7, and then the last 8 will be in the next part. Starting at track 8. If part 2 is up, it's going to be linked right here for you. And if you like the video, make sure to drop a like on it. Subscribe to the channel as well, and we'll catch you over there.